12 minutes past 3. Now then, Maid Marian and Robin Hood are going to be spending 6 weeks in Cirencester at the Barn Theatre, to be precise. The True Adventures of Marian and Robin Hood opens on the 21st of November, so 3 days away from curtain up. Let's have a chat to the artistic director of the Barn Theatre, Iwan Lewis, who joins us on the programme. Hello, Iwan.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks ever so much for joining us on the programme. Before we come on to Marian and Robin Hood, this, of course, has been your first post-COVID full year. How have you found things at the Barn Theatre?
Well, it comes with its challenges, Steve, but the reality is that actually it's been a welcome return to theatre. It's amazing to have all of our trusted audiences back in the space. We have surpassed all expectations. It's going from strength to strength. And, we were, as you know, we weren't really around for that much before the pandemic. So, yes, it was incredibly tough, and it's been tough for all industries, but theatre in particular has been hit quite hard. But I'm just so thrilled to have, we've got through a whole year almost. We're almost there.
Yeah, I mean, but you've worked so hard, hadn't you, pre-COVID, to get the word out there, to tell people what you were doing in Cirencester. Then you kind of had to put the brakes on, and then you're allowed to gradually ease them off. I've spoken to lots of people involved in all forms of entertainment, and the worry was, would people come back? Have they found other ways to be entertained? But you're saying then that people are coming back. Those crowds are coming back through the doors.
Well, I'll put it this way to you, Steve. Our biggest year pre-pandemic was our second year in existence, which was 2019. The box office sales surpassed our 2019 figures in June.
Brilliant.
It's been a record-breaking year for the Barn, and it's going to continue to grow because I think that we are a true producing house. Every single thing that you see on that stage is work that we have produced, and that is fundamental to the core of what we do here. We build those shows specifically for our audiences, and the audiences value that, and they come in their droves. So, there's still a lot of work to do. We are nowhere near, most theatres in the country are charities for a reason, because financially it's a crazy industry to be in. But we know what the value of theatre in the community does. So we've got a long way to go, but we're certainly heading in the right direction, and the Barn's not going anywhere.
Great, and we're talking about the quality of the shows you've put on this year. Which are the ones which have really taken off?
Oh, well, it's been a real mixed bag. The programming is always varied for a full spectrum of an audience. Not one person loves one thing. Theatre sort of gets pigeonholed into musicals and farces, but like our taste on Netflix or our taste in the cinema, it is a spectrum. So we have to program for everyone, from our Michael Morpurgo show, The Mozart Questionnaire, this year, where we had 9 virtuoso violinists on stage telling a beautiful story, to the Girl on the Train, which just closed, which is a gritty best-selling novel adapted for the stage. And you can't pick which one's better or worse. They're just different stories. All stories have a place, and they all have a place on our stage.
So how important is 6 weeks of family entertainment with the True Adventures of Marian and Robin Hood to you as a theatre?
This is everything, Steve. This is absolutely everything to us, because this is, I remember, and I bet you if I asked you what was the first show that you saw as a kid, I bet you I would be right in saying that it was probably a panto or a Christmas show.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's it. So, we look at audiences across the country with theatre, and we see that average age of an audience is creeping up. And, the most important thing we can do as people who run theatres is ensure that a new flock of people is coming through, the young people coming through, watching theatre and knowing the theatre is for them. So, these pantos that are going around the country, whether it's Tweedy in the Cheltenham Everyman, or the show that's on at the Wyvern, or the Barn Theatre in Cirencester, this could be the first taste that young people get of theatre. So this is the most important show of the year, every single year, because that could mean that they become fans of Shakespeare. That could mean that they become playwrights. They could become actors. They could, find a joy outside of what they do day to day and spend an evening in the theatre. So for me, this is absolutely vital.
Yeah, and from what you're saying then, with the age creeping up, not just vital that you inspire the youngsters, but also you remind the mums and dads of what's on their doorstep.
Yeah, exactly that. And we sort of are always slightly behind that because we are new. We 5 years ago we didn't exist.
Yeah.
We go into our fifth year in March. In March will be five, and that's crazy to me because there's been a global pandemic in the middle of it. But it's just so important. And I don't know whether I'm a bit of a weirdo, Steve, but I think that theatre for me it has the same significance as a community hall or a church or a rugby club or a pub in a
Absolutely.
community. And I feel strongly that we bring a huge amount of vitality and excitement to a community and pride in a community. And if we can bring the next generation with us, we do it in the building. We champion young talent in the building. We champion emerging talent working in theatre on the stage, directors, creatives. But I want to know where the next flock of brilliant theatre geniuses are coming from, and I hope they're coming from the Cotswolds.
22 minutes past 3. Ewan Lewis, the artistic director of the Barn Theatre, with us on the programme this afternoon, getting ready for the opening night of the True Adventures of Marian and Robin Hood. It opens on the 21st of November, runs right through until the last day, New Year's Eve, 31st of December. That's a long old run, Ewan. Are you ready for the long haul?
Yeah, well, actually, we're I don't know if it's been announced yet, but I might as well announce it now. We're actually going to extend it to January because the ticket sales are going so well. So we're
Amazing.
going to be running into the first. So it's going to be a 7-week run. So lots of fun in Cirencester to be had.
Fantastic. Oh, congratulations on that. That's a great way to go into even the opening night. And that must be a real smashing boost for the cast as well.
Absolutely, and what a cast it is. I was there up in London doing the auditions with this team, and they are such a multi-skilled, multi-talented team of actor musicians. Because Steve, if you've been to any of our shows, especially at Christmas time, we love a actor who can also dance and sing, but
Mm.
also can play instruments as well. And this team, seriously, is one of the most talented companies we've had in the Barn Theatre.
Now, this is the True Adventures of Marian and Robin Hood. Has this been written especially for you guys? Because I know one of your in-house productions?
Yeah, it has. So Alan Pollock, who formerly of the Manchester Royal Exchange and is worked with basically the Belgrade Theatre Company in Coventry. There are RSC. He's been everywhere. This guy is a legendary writer in the theatre space. He does our adaptations for our Christmas shows, and he's done a wonderful job on this and a unique take on the tale, where Marian is the focal point in this story, and it's a bit of a rubbish Robin Hood, as in he's not as good as what his PR has put out there. And it's just a lot of fun. The company are just the making of this. So some of the performances that I've seen, just snipping in and out of dress rehearsals and technical rehearsals, I'm in stitches, and also you want to cry because it's so brilliant and such a great story anyway. But the magic of Christmas is right there for everyone to see, and in that unique barn way in which we really love to treat the audiences to something a little bit different.
So it's not called a pantomime officially, but is it a pantomime?
This is a contentious one. It's not a panto. It's not a panto because why we can't compete in the panto space. We can't compete with the Cheltenham Everyman's incredible panto with Tweedy, and whether you get celebs here in Swindon or whatever it may be. So we do a Christmas show. So
Oh.
it's theatre in every sense of the word. So it's brilliant storytelling, a lot of fun, something for all the ages, lots of singing, lots of dancing. But when we don't have a dame, we don't have that panto form where it's got elements of panto in it.
Yeah.
But we don't do panto.
So you've got the slapstick, the magic, the acrobats I'm
Yeah,
seeing,
all
all.
of that, and it's the barn. We love our tech, we love our special effects. Nobody's coming out of that place not going, "How did they do that? How did they do that in such a small space?" But that's what we do. But I don't. I love the team at the Everyman. I wouldn't encroach on their territory. They're the panto kings.
And you, as the artistic director, does this make you the producer of this as well? Are you involved in the show, or do you just hand it to Alan and the team and just say, go and do it?
Yeah, well, I guess in a little way I produce all the shows, but I wouldn't want to discredit my team at the barn. We've got two wonderful producers, and Beth George and Laura Ewaker, and so we have a team that's directing it. So Francesca Goodridge and Dylan Townley, who's doing the music and the composition. There's everyone sees the people on the stage, but there's an army
Mm.
behind the scenes putting everything on, and the barn team, it's a pleasure to see them get to work on a project like this, because this was just, even before it was words on a page, which we probably got the first draft of the script about 3 or 4 months ago. This was an idea that was born out of conversations that happened with people in Cirencester, and then it's amazing to see it then bear fruit on the stage in front of an audience, and we can't wait for a 7 week run in Cirencester to see it all come to life. But that's the magic of theatre. Something that starts as a little idea in our head, suddenly you get the costumes, you get the music, you get the songs, you
Mm.
get the instruments, you get the actors, and it all comes together.
And I guess once the cast comes together and you see how they fit into the parts, then the script might change in places. That's when you kind of tweak it and work it around, what works
Yeah,
on your stage and with those
yeah.
characters.
Exactly that. And Alan, who did the adaptation, he knows this space intimately now. I think this is the fourth show he's written for us, and won't be the last one. And Alan sort of knows what lands, but he's also in the room. So the actors, they get an incredible experience. Usually you're taking Noel Coward's work, and that is it. That you just have to do what's written on that
Mm.
page. But when the writer and the composer are in the room, the joy that the actors get, knowing that they're not just stepping into somebody else's shoes, they're stepping into their character's shoes, but they'll be the first people who have put this version of this show on this stage, and that then ultimately they're not just holograms. Like we've seen the emergence of ABBA doing a show,
Mm.
where there's holograms. Well, if that was going to be the case, then what's the point of having actors anymore? But I think the joy of live theatre, the joy of seeing something for the very first time, the first time that these words are going to be spoken, that is what theatre's about for me.
And, obviously ticket sales are going great, hence you've upped it to 7 weeks already before we even get to that opening night. But will you have a few, jitters? Will you have a few butterflies before that opening night? What are you like?
Well, I was the funny thing is, Steve, I was an actor before I came down and did this job in Cirencester, and I used to be about to go on stage. I remember the opening night of when I was in Legally Blonde the musical, in the Liverpool Everyman, 2,400 people in the audience, and I was about to open the door to come on for my first big entrance in that show, and I had no nerves whatsoever, and I was going, "What is wrong with me? Why am I not nervous?" As a producer, I'm nervous constantly because it's ridiculous. I'm confident. I'm confident they will deliver. I'm confident the cast are going to do a wonderful job. But I have no control. I have no control over, once you've handed that over to a director,
Yeah.
handed over to the production team, and that curtain goes up, it's on them. I can't do anything. And that does make me nervous because I'm a bit of a control freak.
But that's the fun of live theatre, isn't it? That no two nights are the same. Anything can happen, and that's the buzz of seeing something live rather than pre-recorded.
Well, exactly that. And this is such a competent and wonderfully skilled company that if something was to go wrong, and I love it when it does go wrong as well on
So
stage,
do the
because
audience, don't they?
you
Let's
know, I
face it, they love it.
let's face it, they do. They're brutal. The audiences.
You'll be great. It's going to be fantastic. So opening night, 21st, not long to go.
Yes.
What is it
Yeah. So
like?
that's
Kind of like dress rehearsals this weekend. What's going on?
Yeah, so I think currently they are doing a dress rehearsal right now in the auditorium. So I'm gonna head back down there now, and just to see how that's got on. I'm hearing wonderful things from the room, and the set looks fantastic. The costume looks fantastic. So I'm just really, really excited to see what the audiences think of this. So we've got a first preview is on Monday. The press night is on Wednesday, and then we're looking forward to a lovely run in Cirencester. So I urge everyone, if you've been to the barn, don't know the barn, just get down there and support live theatre being produced here in the Cotswolds. And the barn is a special place. I know I'm biased, but to have a producing house that produces everything itself, not receiving shows, it's not a big, it's not a commercial producer just throwing something on tour to make money. We're a charity, and we produce all of this stuff for our community. And the brilliant thing is that community is growing. It used to be just Cirencester. Now we get people from Bristol, Bath, Oxford, Swindon, Cheltenham, Gloucester. They come from everywhere now, which is great, and it's becoming a little hidden treasure in the Cotswolds.
Fantastic. Well, as you're now running through into the first week of January, I can say have a fantastic Christmas and New Year. And good luck with the true adventures of Marian and Robin Hood. Thank you ever so much for joining us, Ewan.
Yeah, thank you so much, Steve. All the very best.
Take care. Thank you very much. Ewan Lewis, Artistic Director at the Barn Theatre in Cirencester. Opening night for them is Monday nights. And as Ewan's exclusively revealed in the last 10 minutes or so, they will be running right through into the first week of January if you fancy going along and having a nice family night out with that one.